Hello guys, how are you? Welcome to another interesting video about software development. In this episode, I'd like to talk about dependency injection again. And this is because when I first started to learn about software development and particularly about dependency injection, I couldn't understand easily the concept. And for those who are struggling trying to understand what dependency injection is and what dependency injection can help you with, I want to create this video and give you a very simple but understandable example about what dependency injection is. So let's get to it. I have this playground and imagine that I have the responsibility to create a human resources software, and to do that I want to create a class to interview employees, and this is because I need to interview people. So I'm going to create the class interview employee. And as you already know, we can have different type of employees. For example, we can have a driver, we can have a driver. The possibilities are endless. But the thing is that all of them share the same behavior, at least in this software. We can define a general behavior for all of my employees or for all the kind of my employees. For example, I can have, to do that, I'm gonna use a protocol, which is like the most natural decisions to do, to use a protocol to describe the general behavior of all my employees. So I can have a protocol and I can name it employee protocol. And to keep this example simple, I'm gonna add only one method, which is talk about yourself. So every single employee in my software can talk about themselves, which is very common and very simple to understand, I think. And to keep it simple, just one method, okay? And now we can describe, or we can create the different types of employees that I can have in my software. I can start by creating the class, for instance, driver. And this class is gonna implement the employee protocol because I want this class to have this behavior. So I'm gonna need to implement the methods. Okay, in this case, it is gonna be very simple, just like driving a taxi is a pain in the ass. Okay, and then I can have a second object or a second class, not completely different, but more or less. I can have the waitress class, which implements the same protocol, and it has the same method. Okay, fix. In this case, we have the same method, but the implementation is different. So, for example, I love waitressing. Different objects, same protocol, different implementation. And now I think the most natural is that the interview employee class needs an object. in this case, it needs an employee because this class is intended to interview employees. So let's define a variable. In this case, the name would be employee, and the type of this variable is the protocol. I want to use the protocol to allow this class to be reusable, because if I use, for example, driver directly, this class wouldn't be reusable, wouldn't be testable, wouldn't be flexible. So I'm going to use the general behavior here, which is employee protocol. And then in this class is necessary to have an employee, because if I didn't have an employee, I wouldn't be, or this class wouldn't be able to do its job properly. So a good idea is to provide this class with an employee at the beginning. So in this case, we can use the constructor, and I can pass as a parameter one employee. In this case, I have to use the protocol again, which is employee protocol, to keep it the reusable advantage. And then self.employee equals employee. Just like that. That's simple. And I like to use to inject. This is the funny part. I like to inject the dependencies in the constructor, because that allows me to make explicit that the interview employee class needs an employee to do its job properly. That's what I like about the dependency injection. To inject the dependencies in the constructor. By doing that, the constraints or the requirements that this object demands, the interview employee demands. So we have the constructor, and then we can implement a function which is describe yourself. And we can call or we can use our employee, and we can tell it to talk about themselves, just like that. Employee dot talk about yourself, just like that. And then we can use the class. Actually, we can use the class. Let's use it. Interview employee which is an instance of interview employee. And as you can see here, this class is asking me to provide an employee, which is good, because now I know that I have to create an employee. I'm going to create employee. In this case, I can use a driver, and I can inject the dependency in this class, employee, just like that. And then I can use the method describe yourself, and I can run the code. Okay, I can use a print here just to see the result in the console. Just like that. Driving a taxi is a pain in the ass. And then I can change the object to use a different employee. For example, I can say a waitress. I can run the code. and I love waitressing. What is the benefit or what is the advantage of this? The advantage is that I can change the object, I can change the implementation, but my interview employee class, I don't have to change anything here because this is reusable. I inject the dependency in my interview employee class and everything works as expected because this is reusable, this is testable, this is flexible. I can create, for example, another class. Let's say, for example, employee testing that allows me to test this class. I need to implement the protocol, employee protocol. Fix. Okay. In this case, I can't use, or I can say testing the talk about yourself method. Just like that. And I can change it here. That simple. And imagine that my class interview employee consists of 1000 lines of code. I have 1000 lines of code here. 1000 lines of code. And I use the employee variable all the time, everywhere. And dependency injection allows me to change the employee class. Actually, not to change, but to create and to modify the classes that implement employee protocol without having to change anything in my interview employee class. Because this is reusable, the only thing that I need to do is to create new classes that implement the employee protocol, and everything should work as expected, without any problem, without any change, without any issue in my interview employee class. That is the power of dependency injection. I hope I gave you a better idea of what dependency injection is. I had a lot of problems trying to explain this because I need to practice my English more, and I need to practice these concepts. But let's make it little by little. Let's do it little by little. Doing these exercises allows me to speak and to practice my English, my technical English. And guess what? That's good for me. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in my next video.